In this video, I will introduce some of Hive's new features to you. Please note that the user interface is still a work in progress. While the features are pretty final, the looks and layout may vary quite a bit in the final version. The first and most obvious addition to Hive is the section below the envelopes and LFOs. These are new modulation sources which complement the existing set nicely. They are inspired by our adventures in modular synthesis. We have two Buchla-style function generators, one to the left and one to the right. Although they only have 5 parameters, these can act as envelopes, LFOs, lag generators, and much more. They can do surprisingly complex modulations, and they help to make sound expressive in ways traditional modulations cannot. In the center we have something called a shape sequencer. It can work in similar ways as complex envelopes, rhythm generators, or pattern gates. While it looks like a baby version of what you may know from other synthesizers, this shape sequencer can do a lot more than first meets the eye, without the tediousness typically involved with complex modulators. I'll go in depth with these two modulation sources in a bit. Let's just mention that function generators are great for rhythmic input. They can make complex rhythms more complex in various predictable ways. They can also transform a modulation into something else. The shape sequencer is a perfect companion because it can create a wide range of complex, evolving modulations and rhythmic patterns. These two offer great means of gamification of synthesis, ordered chaos, and virtuosity, while at the same time being absolutely simple to handle. Next up, we have added drag-and-drop modulation assignment directly from the modulation sources onto the target parameters. Doing so automatically creates an entry in the mod matrix. Mod matrix depths can also be edited right next to their main control. Just select any modulation source and edit the target parameters assigned to it. We added an Insights module to Hive's hexagon, which works almost exactly like the oscilloscopes you know from some of our other synths. Only you can drag up to 4 modulation sources onto it to visualize what's going on with them. This is particularly useful for the function generators and the shape sequencer, as we'll see shortly. In further news, we added sample and hold to the mod matrix, where any slot can be sampled by the 0 crossings of any modulation source. I'll add that, apart from the LFOs, obviously, the shape sequencer and the function generators are particularly well suited for this kind of task. We also added more quantization options to the matrix, which are great for pitch parameters such as oscillator tune and filter cutoff. You'll find scales and chords in there. Hive now does a lot of those chiptune arpeggios quite easily. We also added a scale-based quantizer to Hive's keyboard control. You can define the notes that Hive can play, and all other nodes are rounded towards the selected ones. This is great to keep the sequencer or arpeggiator within the harmonic scale of your track. As a special modulation target, we added a hidden diatonic transpose parameter to the oscillators. This lets one modulate the oscillator through the quantization of the keyboard. So you can take, say, an LFO and then modulate the oscillator pitch in steps, which are always in the scale selected on the keyboard. These even respect the pitches set in the microtuning tables. This opens up Hive for algorithmic composition. That's That's it with a quick overview. Let's now dive deeper into the new possibilities.